Welcome to TheiaCon 2024. I'm Jonas. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this great event. I'm really looking forward to the next 2 days with a lot of interesting talks. And let's not waste any time. Let's directly dive into the first one, which I have the honor to present to you. So as I mentioned, I'm Jonas. I'm working for Eclipse. We are a company supporting our customers in building tools and IDEs. But today I speak in my role as as one of the Theia project leads, and it's my honor to give you the Theia project update 2024. The goal of this talk is to present a summary of all the important news and noteworthy things that happened in the projects since basically last TheiaCon. The good news is there happened so much, so it was really hard for me to fit all this into one talk. However, I have help. So if you look at the agenda of the conference, there are several talks about specific topics that happened last year. And for several topics, I would just point to these other talks and only quickly mention them. And without further ado, let's dive into the update. It's in no particular order. I just mentioned the things, and it's a long list of updates. So look forward. All right. Actually, I have only one introductory slide because we got feedback last year that we should explain what Theia is before we dive into the details. So let me quickly do that for those of you who are new to the project. I want to keep that short. But in a nutshell, what is Eclipse Theia? You can consider it to be two things that are widely known. Theia, the platform. That's a platform or a framework that enables you to build tools and IDEs of any kind. So that can be code-centric tools and IDEs, but also domain-specific tools, modeling tools, data-centric tools. And then since over a year, we also have a tool that is created by this project, by the Theia project, that is called the Theia IDE. In a sense, it's kind of the demonstrator tool that the Theia project produces. It's an IDE. It's focused on code editing. It's built upon the Theia platform, and it showcases all the capabilities of the Theia platform, but also it's a very cool IDE that you can use for development, right? And those are the main two building blocks that many of the talks today and tomorrow will be about. All right. Speaking of which, the Theia IDE is actually one of the news that really arrived during the last year. We released it in a beta version close after TheiaCon last year, and in June 2024, we made it publicly available. We removed the beta. It's now really ready for prime time. It's a very modern open IDE that you can use on the desktop, but also in the cloud. You can download it on the website with an installer. We are very happy to have good download numbers, over 2,000 per week, and in the first month we hit over 1,000 per day. So it's really successful and really brings the project forward. I will not demonstrate this because the good news is there will be a talk specifically about the Theia IDE tomorrow at 5:45, given by Thomas. Definitely join this if you're interested in the details here. And of course, you can download the Theia IDE or try it online. I've put the link here on the slide, so quickly scan the QR code or just visit TheiaIDE.org and get the tool there. Let me directly dive into the next news, and that's Theia AI. Of course, the big trend of AI doesn't pass our project. It's playing a central role now, and we mainly have two big news here in this area. Again, very similar to what I presented before. One new thing that we have is Theia AI, which is a framework for building AI-powered tools and IDEs. So it really takes a lot of the basic integration work away if you want to build intelligent tools with AI assistants, chats, and so on. And Theia AI is part of the Theia platform, so you can use it to build your own AI-powered tools and IDEs. And because building a framework without a use case is really difficult, and we also wanted to boost the Theia IDE, one of our favorite tools, we have integrated AI features into the IDE too. These features are, of course, built upon Theia AI, and they make now the Theia IDE a really AI-powered IDE with a lot of cool features. that sounds abstract. Let me just demonstrate that quickly. So let me switch over to my IDE. So this is the Theia IDE. As you can see, it just looks like a modern IDE. But I have a lot of new features now here if I activate the AI support. So for example, when I go into a source file and now press enter, we see there is a new type of code completion. So I just completed this line. Now this looks very simple. It's just a hello world. But if you think about this, no static code completion could actually do that, because it kind of guessed from the name of the function that I want to print out hello world here, right? I kept this example simple on purpose, but still this shows this was actually calculated by an AI, and it can do much more complicated stuff. Now, how is this different from other tools? It provides a lot of flexibility and openness. I would just show you one thing. In case you ever wondered how is the underlying LLM actually prompted to complete code completion like this. In the Theia IDE, this is not a secret as in many other tools. I can actually just look at the prompt. So down here, I have a configuration view where I see all the available agents. And if I click on code completion and then edit, I can directly look at the prompt, and we see this is a classical fill in the middle pattern. So it tells some instructions and then the code before and after the current position. And I can not only look at this, I can directly modify that. And I would like to show that by adding something to the prompt. I will say, consider that we are at TheiaCon today. I don't know what it will do with that. I've tried that several times. It always does something different because it's an LLM, but let's see. And let's just do the same thing again and see. No, it doesn't, unfortunately. Sometimes it says hello world now. I can do something different. For example, I can say always extract strings to constants like this. So that would be a typical coding guideline that I might want to add to my prompt. And let's see. No, it doesn't. I don't know. Sometimes live demos are difficult, but typically that works. So I could modify the prompt on the fly. And of course, we also have a chat feature here where I can chat with LLMs. So for example, I could say, document this code very well. And then I tell it to use the selection. And then let's see what it does. And now it starts to document the code. And I can, for example, directly insert that and hereby document my code. I think you get the idea. The good news is I could show this for over an hour, but we will have a dedicated talk about this tomorrow, today and tomorrow. Today there will be a talk at 4:45, which is about how do you use the base framework Theia AI to build AI integrations into domain-specific tools. And this is not only focused around code, but also shows you how to build AI features and other types of tools, specifically, for example, diagram editors and other artifacts. So definitely make sure to watch this if you're interested in the topic. And if you want to see the demo working, I will give another talk at the very end of the conference, which is called Full Control of AI in Tools and IDEs with the Theia AI and IDE. And that's tomorrow, 6:15. Which will be dedicated only to the AI support and the Theia IDE. All right, let's switch to the next topic. Very small step, but I think huge improvement for all Linux users. The Theia IDE is now available on Snap, so you can just install it from there. Just use, for example, if you're on Ubuntu, just use the software installation tool, search for Theia, and you can just click install, and it will automatically provide you with updates too. So pretty cool. And this was actually an external contribution, which we are really thankful for. Diving into the next feature, which also I think is really exciting, that's the integration of a new project called Open Collaboration Tools. And what this enables is actually live sharing between two Theia applications. It's fully integrated in the Theia IDE already, but you can also use this for custom tools and other editors than text editors. However, I would like to demonstrate this in the Theia IDE. And let me switch over there. Now, in any in the Theia IDE, I can now click a new button that you see down here that is named Collaborate. And now I can click on Create New Collaboration Session. Now, what this will do is it will connect to a server, and then it will copy a code to my clipboard. And what I'm doing on my second screen that you cannot see is I'm pasting this code to one of the main contributors to this feature, Mark, who's hopefully in the call. And then he can actually join my IDE. And we already see he did that. So user Mark wants to join the collaboration room. I can confirm that. And then in a second, we will see his cursor here, right? So we can now work together on this artifact. So Mark can do something. And he says, hi, Mark. Great that you're here. And of course, he would see my cursor too. And you can really collaborate. Now, again, I'm happy to say that there will be a talk dedicated about this framework open collaboration tool, because it can do much more than what we show here. And Mark, would you be so nice to paste the details when your talk is? So he's currently writing that. That will be tomorrow, Thursday at 6:50, 45, 4:45 tomorrow CET. All right, thank you, Mark. And with that, ending collaboration session so that he doesn't interfere with my demo. All right, let me get back to the slides because we have many more features to show. Another very small improvement, or it sounds like a small improvement, but really boosts efficiency every day, is that we now support detachable text editors. And by the way, also the new chat, the AI chat. So let me quickly show that. When I go to the IDE, I can now just click here and make this detached, and then maybe move it here. And of course, I can also just detach the chat and then maybe move it here. And you can see I can really now use my screen estate. And of course, this is most useful if you have several screens, especially about the chat, because the chat is a new UI element that many people use every day, but that just eats up screen estate. And it's a very cool thing if you can just move this to the second screen. All right, let me get back to the presentation. The next feature that has been actually, or the first part has been there last year already, that's called remote SSH support. And the idea here is, or the basic feature is that if you have a remote container or container that runs locally, and you have a Theia-based tool, it can actually connect via SSH to this container, upload the Theia backend, and then connect to it. And what this enables is that you can, for example, with the IDE, put your development environment into a container. Now, this container can be remote, which enables you to basically develop in a container in the cloud. But it can also be local, which is a pretty useful feature if you want to put your development in a VM. For example, this VM could set up all the necessary tools that you need for a certain project. And now what was added to this during last year was dev file support. Dev file is a standard defined by VS Code. And a dev file basically describes how the developer machine should look like what tools do you need to work on a certain project. And then you can basically just open the workspace with the IDE and then restart that in a container. And with that, you don't have to install any tools anymore. Basically, you just develop in a Docker container, which is pretty neat. Now, I would like to demonstrate this, but to do that, I quickly need to change the workspace. So let me quickly do that. Doing that on the second screen in case you wonder. All right. Into this. Here. All right. Now, what I'm showing you now is the Theia IDE pointing to our website, like the Eclipse source website. And our website works with Hugo. So we need Hugo to build the website. And now if I just start the workspace without using the feature and I type in Hugo, it doesn't work because on my machine, I didn't install Hugo. But now what I can do is I can press F1 and say reopen in container, dev container. And now what the IDE will automatically do is it will create this container and then restart my workspace. And now in this workspace, if I just do this again and type Hugo, we will see it will download modules, but now we see Hugo is installed. So I directly got the setup without doing anything. And this is really neat if people want to collaborate on a project requiring a certain setup. All right, next feature, a metrics endpoint. Theia supports a metrics endpoint now in the browser and the Electron version. So if you start your Theia with a certain parameter, you can access this endpoint, and it publishes a lot of data, like performance data on the running application. We see a few examples here, like CPU time, used memory, the node version, and so on. And this is really, really useful for monitoring and debugging. So for example, you can monitor an application that you develop based on Theia. For example, you can make this part of your test suite and see whether the startup time, how it develops over time. But you can also use this live if you, for example, host Theia in the cloud and have many instances. You can see how the resource consumption per pace out there. So this really is a very interesting feature if you develop an industrial application based on Theia to watch your performance. All right, let's directly dive into the next one, and that is notebook editors. Now, notebook editors have been there for quite a while. I'm sorry. The basic idea of these kind of editors is that you kind of mix text with code, and then you can execute the code and, for example, create nice graphs like we see here. And I would like to show a quick demo of these notebook editors. But for that, I have to switch my workspace again. 1 second. To this one. Let me bring that on screen again. So in most of the demos, people typically show the Python notebook. I would like to show a special notebook that I found that is called GitHub Issues. And what this allows is to query the GitHub API of a certain project and then get results. And what I actually wanted to demonstrate is that notebook editors have been improved a lot during last year. It has been one of the most active areas in the Theia development. And to prove you that, I would actually like to show you the numbers of issues that have been fixed within the last year, right? And I can directly do that here, here by putting in a query. So we've seen, you can see I already added the Theia repo name. And now I would like to query all the issues that have been fixed during last year that contain notebook. Now, one issue, I actually don't know the GitHub query language, but I can use Theia AI to help me with that. So let's try that. I need a GitHub query showing all issues and pull requests closed within the last year containing notebook in the title or the text. Now you wonder, how does it know what the last year is? We actually have variables for that. So I can just add today. Let's see whether that works. Yeah, here's the query. And let me copy that and put that in here, just like this. And now I can directly run that from this notebook. And that will probably take a while because that is a quite long time. Let's see what the result is. For some reason, didn't work. There's probably something wrong in the query. I tried this before, then it worked. That's unfortunate. But again, it's a live demo. All right, but typically there would be a list of issues appearing down here. I don't know, correct the query, whether it can do that. Let's give it one try. I don't know. Is embody, no, that's embody in title. I don't know. Last try. I just want to show you that you would get visuals here in the notebook, which looks pretty cool. Yeah, so here we see you can now, it just visualizes all the issues and actually shows 81 here. I know from practicing this, it's actually 126 if it also would take consider the description of bug records. So it's really, really a lot, a huge improvement. All right, now let me get back to my slides. All right, another very interesting addition, if you build your own tools based on Theia, are backend plugins. So you might know, so Theia has a plugin mechanism which allows extensibility at runtime. And how this works, if you the Theia backend runs and the front end connects to this backend, it will start a plugin container hosting these plugins. And this will be repeated for every Theia front end. So plugins so far are actually directly related to a specific front end. However, with backend plugins or headless plugins, you can now attach or you can now create plugins that are associated directly with the Theia backend. And then you can actually, for example, connect two front ends that work with the same plugin, which is useful for certain scenarios. So, for example, if the plugin connects to one piece of hardware and you want to have that as a single. Another scenario would be is if you want to use the Theia backend even without a front end, for example, with a CLI, you can also use these new type of plugins to connect something. Next use, I'm close to an end, is Theia Cloud is now part of Theia. The framework has existed before. In a nutshell, it's a framework to host Theia-based applications in the cloud. And if you want to learn more about this, there will be a talk today at 6:15 that shows the progress, contributions, and the road to the 1.0 release. One last development before I come to the outro of this talk is we have presented a sneak preview of browser-only Theia last year. The idea here is basically to enable to run Theia even without a backend, just as a plain website. I will skip the details for time reasons, but I just want to show you what you can do now in the prototype version. So what I'm doing now is I'm navigating to the Theia code base. And let me show you that to you. That on screen. Here, so this is the Theia code base. And now I can, in examples, there is a browser-only version. And I just will go to the lib folder, front end, and search for an index HTML here. Let me just open this with the browser and close this. And now we can see this is Theia fully running in the browser without any backend. Now, why is this useful? You actually don't need to set up a backend infrastructure anymore. I have to mention this is not fully functional yet, right? Because certain features are missing, for example, language servers that require a backend and so on. But for example, we already have a file system here that runs directly in the browser. And we are continuing the development on this to really enable that you can fully or have more features in the browser. But if you're interested in this use case, this is already in the main repository and you can start to use that. All right. Quick community update. So we're really happy about the current state of the community. We have a new release process for the Theia IDE, in case you didn't notice. We now do preview builds that we test for 1 or several weeks before we actually finally publish that release, which really increased the stability of releases again. So really happy now with the stability and robustness of our releases. We continue to publish community releases. We kept the full VS Code compatibility, and we really are happy about a stable and diverse community. One thing that I specifically want to mention is that we, in the last year, came up with several open alternatives to other features that are only available in a proprietary fashion in other ecosystems, like, for example, the open collaboration, the AI support, or the remote container support, which is all fully open source. Our list of contributors and adopters is growing. I'm very happy that there are actually 3 adopter stories during this conference, 2 of them today about Code Composer Studio, about Socator, and 1 tomorrow about an online programming exercise environment from a university. So definitely look at those if you're interested what other people built with Theia. Now, final slide, how to strengthen the ecosystem. If you build on Theia, showcase your brand, add your logo to our website, share a screenshot of your tool, which can be good for marketing. And if you have a story, tell it. So if you build a tool based on Theia, we are happy to help you with writing an adoptive story to show the world what you do. You can scan this QR code here and drop me an email if you're interested in that. Engage with the community. We have regular community calls every week. And consider to contribute to the open source project by reporting bugs, feature requests, and of course, code contributions. And I would like to mention, if you don't want to do that yourself, there is support and sponsored development available for Theia. And talk to me if you have questions about any of these points. And with that, what will we tell, or what will I tell here next year? I expect there will be much more about AI, and hopefully we can continue the development on the backend with Theia. And with that, I'm already late. I'm opening up for questions, if there are any.
Thank you so much, Jonas, for the excellent presentation. We do have one question, and it's from Wim Bertels. I'll pull it up here. And it says, about Open Collab, does this create a direct connection, or is the Open Collab the intermediate?
I actually know the answer, but I don't want to take it away. Please visit the talk from Mark that he himself announced, and please ask the question there, because I think it's just fair that he can answer that.